Well, first, I'd like to apologize because my boys are here. So if you hear any screaming or anything in the background, I promise you nobody's dying. It's just a 2 and 3-year-old fighting each other, probably over a Hot Wheel. So I apologize in advance. But when it comes to social media, I just post what's going on. If it's real estate related, I feel like it's really important for people to see like what's going on in real estate, but also personal, because this is a relationship-based business and people like to work with who they can relate to and who they like, who they know. So I like to create content to let people know more about myself, how I do business. I'm somebody who likes things to be very aesthetically pleasing. So I always want things to look the same colors, the same branding, so that if you go on my Facebook, it looks like my IG, it looks like my YouTube, it looks like my website. But as far as like specific content, it really depends. Like right now, we're having an issue with inventory. So I actually recorded a video 2 days ago that I'm going to be posting today. And it's about what's going on in the market as far as inventory and what that means for buyers and what that means for sellers. And it's just a quick 3-minute video. So that's like an example of like the type of content that I like to create. I also like for them to be evergreen. So that means that if I repost it in a year or two, it's still relevant and it can still be applicable. What else? That's basically it. And I like to put them in my drip campaigns so that even if I post it on social media, because we don't have control over the algorithms, right? So if I create something, I want people to see it. So if I post it on social media, I know a lot of people won't see it. So I want to make sure that I'm also putting it in my drip campaigns so that like the relevant people in my database will be able to see that content and I can share it with people that I know that it'll be helpful to. So that's just a little bit.
I think it's good to know that your content can always be repurposed. So like one piece of content can be used 5 different ways. You have so many platforms, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, social media, and you should be able to take that one piece of content and transform it, take clips, and just post it on all your different platforms. And if you always think about content like that, that's how you can make it last longer. How can I take this one topic or this one video and create a few different posts out of it? And that will save you time along the ways of always thinking you have to do a brand new photo or a brand new piece of content for each platform. As much as I would love to spend my days doing that, there's just not you really need a full-time assistant to do that. And someone that can talk about that is Melinda, because she has a full-time marketing assistant that just sits there and creates content for her because she has to be busy closing our deals.
That's true. And really quickly, I do want to remind all of you, because we're in the business of selling real estate in Florida, right? Most of us are in Florida. I know we have some partners that are outside of this state. I was told, or I overheard Teresa, our CEO for the Miami Association of Realtors, during one of the heavy, there was a hurricane that was coming through and a lot of us were reposting, our streets that we were down in parts of South Beach, underground, and some garages. What we need to avoid doing as professional real estate agents that are selling real estate in Miami is only promote positive things about our city. Because when you're posting all these flooded streets and then you're trying to sell those condos, people are going to look at you a little bit crazy. So be very careful about what you're posting. And make sure that everything that you're posting has some sort of positive spin, because the media is very good about creating or providing everyone a global landscape of where the market is, but every market is completely different. So if you don't know what to post, go to the Miami Association of Realtors Instagram page. There's a lot of great content that you could reshare, repurpose, as Bethany has said before, and use it as your own. That's the whole point of the content that we're creating here, is that you can use it over and over and over again. Does anyone else want to share some of their tips? Melinda, I know that Bethany had asked, given you a little bit of a shine. What is it that your team is told that they need to be posting on your behalf?
So we really do a different we have like a list of different types of posts that we will do. So we have, of course, our celebratory closing pictures get sprinkled in. We have our positive quotes. I do like little market updates or little videos that I did. One way I repurpose a lot, especially during the early months of quarantine, was doing market updates in BombBomb to my list of realtors and then sharing that on Facebook. And actually it was a great way because it reached different crowds. So that's a great way. If you have a cool video you did for one, you could actually share it in a different platform. So I'm big on that. And then of course, obviously I deal with direct to consumer types of posts too. So we have things about buyer tips or seller tips, and then promoting events that we're doing. So it's really a mix of everything. I just make sure that everything has clean lines, everything, has those colors, and then sharing, useful content on the firm side. And on my personal side, always sharing stuff about my family, stuff about what I'm doing, because that's how people relate to you. And then try to, since I have two pages, bring one from the other, So I love Chandra's pictures of her kids, always showing with the Hot Wheels. I could totally relate because I have kids the same age. And so it's a perfect example of, I know all that because of social media, and we have things in common that way. So it makes you stand out to people when it's like that. So don't be afraid to share personal.
So for sure. And no one wants to just see a property over and over and over again on your social media pages, right? They want to know a little bit more about who the content creators are. So just for all of you, what is the one thing that you are posting that you're getting the most attention for, right? Because a lot of us have business pages, and we see our posts and we're like, all right, well, I'm getting a lot of attention, but very few likes. And then you post a selfie, and then all of a sudden you start getting a ton of likes. So outside of selfies, what is the one piece of content that all of you are posting that you see so many likes and responses to?
Stuff with my kids. I'm not gonna lie, my kids get me a lot of good traction on social media. So at first I would shy away from it, but it's use it to your advantage if you got them.
Lately, I've been doing neighborhood tours and doing really cute snippet videos of a neighborhood where I have a listing in, and just kind of sharing either restaurants or special locations. And a lot of people have been giving us really good feedback on those.
I think the TikTok videos are awesome too. They're fun. They're really short, very quick. And, if you're in a different location doing something fun, your kid jumps in.
Especially if you can get your husband involved.
Yeah.
That always works.
I think an important thing that we didn't touch on was PR to drive lead gen, right? And maybe not necessarily PR, but what kind of content drives lead gen? I think it's important to have content, but being able to funnel that content in a specific way to actually create a lead. I know that Anthony is on this call, and this is someone who has mastered the funnels. If you've ever seen a damage control series with Melinda and Anthony, they have been able to take these series and they are able to send you a text when they're going live. You get an email prior, before the episode, you get an email after the episode asking if they enjoyed it. And I think that's how we talk about automating our systems. If we could all use that and apply it to our business, where, when we touched a client, they got an email before and after, they get updates and reminders. Anthony, I don't know if you can just share that, because I think the whole purpose is creating content and how to make that content a lead. That's going to an open house, getting an email, and how to follow up with them after. That's a funnel, right? That's lead generation. Because if you just create content and you have people liking, where is that translating into a lead? Where are you using that click magnet to grab them and actually put them into something else where you can follow up with them later?
So that's what I'm going to be going over at 11:30, but a little bit different in terms of the leads. Can I share my screen real quick, Peter? Is that possible?
I think you should be able to give it a shot. And by the way, I just want to say, I know a lot of people have a ton of followers. Some of them could be purchased. Anthony will post something, and then I look 2 seconds later, and there are hundreds of likes on his social media posts. That is incredible. That's the kind of social media platform that I think a lot of us aspire to have, right? Where you post something and your audience is immediately clicking on it. Anthony, is it letting you share the screen?
It's not. I think I got to be a co-host, and I just want to show you guys what really to look for.
Let's see. Try to share it now.
I got it. Good. All right. So here's a piece of content that went out Tuesday, Tag Team Tuesday, and we're basically sharing tips, right? Tag Team Tuesday tips on what goes wrong on a deal. And so we're now sharing this content, but the feedback and the engagement. Now, this is a good lead, all right? Because this lead that said, no, thank you, she's pre-approved, guarantee you. We're attempting to go through a VA loan. My mom should be eligible for a spouse benefit. So the concept here, guys, is not just send in marketing. It's to engage with the consumer and then take that lead and funnel it into a different direction. So you're controlling the lead. I just ran this morning and I said, control your pace, control your distance, control your lead, control your paycheck. So that is crucial when you're building out funnels, because your CTA, your call to action, needs to be interested. And this is a simple email that I put my team on. We each give a valid tip and we say, kick some butt, happy Tuesdays. And they're engaging now. They're engaging through social media, which is linked to our CRM, Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook. They're engaging via email. They're engaging through our platform Slack, which there's 92 people on here now that Melinda and I use constantly. They're talking about their deals, and we're educating our clients, throughout the process. So what Bethany's saying is crucial. It's really taking you're building out your funnel, but making sure that you have a call to action. Today's episode, it allows you guys to subscribe. So yes, I get your first, last name, email, phone number, but the text messages that go out and the content that I've provided, 59 pages and another 17 pages, scripts, email content to help real estate agents out. I know what works as a top producer. So if I can share that content, that's the value proposition. If I'm a real estate agent, what content can you share to your consumer to engage with them, to bring them in? What are you doing different, basically?
That's great.
I love what Melinda was saying about the kids. That's great. You don't want to just post listings. Talk about yourself. I talk about cooking. I love cooking. It relaxes me because this business is crazy, and running. So, I mean, those are my hobbies, and that's what people relate to.
And I think another important, were you going to say something, Melinda?
Yeah, I just wanted to say, we're all talking about online relationships, but we have to remember the reason we have social media and newsletters and all these different tools is to bring those online connections to build offline relationships. So figure out a way to start the DM, like these things that people can relate to, start the DM, these things that you're sending out by email, like ask for a question for a response or something that will start a conversation that you can bring out of the tech world.
And I think another important thing with content creation, branding, and platforms is possibly having your own website, right? I know Sean is on here and he develops websites for realtors and has also tied in content branding for that, because I think a lot of times we get so overwhelmed with where to begin. And sometimes it's just like getting started. And I know, like, Sean, you've implemented new things to your business because you started finding that there was more of a need to, like, not only build a website, but then help realtors create content for it.
Right. So, hi, everyone. My name is Sean, and we develop real estate brands and websites for realtors and real estate professionals. So one of the things that I did early on when we started the company was to pretty much dive into how to actually build a brand and like a look and a style and an aesthetic that can be appealing to their target customers. So one of the things that we do in the beginning stages when we work with everyone is kind of define what their brand style is, because everyone has their own brand style. Some people, it might be a little darker and a little gothic, and other people, it might be a little more professional or refined or classy. For example, if you go to like Bethany's Instagram page, her grid on Instagram, it has a certain look and a certain aesthetic to it. And I'm sure if you go to other people's Instagram as well, it looks very different. So we dive into what their style is and then create a website around that. So it's a whole process that we go through, going through your company culture, your personality, your voice and tone. And it's a whole process, but it really dives into figuring out what your brand style is. And I'll be more than happy to dive into more detail with anyone that wants to. If they want to ask any questions, I'll be more than happy to show them our entire process on how that works. And just to chime in on one thing, one of the things that I've actually found that works, and I think, Bethany, you mentioned about what gets the most engagement on Instagram, is really just telling stories. I've found that when we post pictures, posting pictures and making it visual is great, because that's the first thing that's going to catch people's attention. But once they actually glance down at your caption, tell a story and something that's going to catch their attention. So a lot of times the posts that I've actually gotten the most engagement from what I found is the ones where I'm actually talking about building my business and how to grow my business, because everyone's kind of in the same boat. I'm coming from a different background in software and branding, but everybody has a business and everybody's trying to figure out certain things about that business, how to grow it. So I found just talking and telling your story and I guess your why, as a lot of people say, and the purpose behind why you do things, and just your progression day to day is really beneficial. And I've seen the most engagement from.
Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing.
Yeah.
You know, I'd like to add, when it comes to Instagram, it's really important too to look at the insights, right? So I don't necessarily look at the number of likes I get. I want to see how many people are sharing my post. I want to see how many people are saving my post, because that means that the people who actually did see it actually care for what I'm posting. I'm not necessarily just going with a method of like, what is it, like a fishnet and then see who sticks. I have a certain niche of people that I do want to have as clients. There's certain people that relate to me and that I can relate to, and it makes it such an easier process to get them through a transaction and things like that. So I want to look at the insights. So I can look at one of my posts, like for example, I was just looking at one. It doesn't necessarily have a lot of likes, but I can see that it was shared 12 times and it was saved 28 times. To me, that means a lot more than 200 likes.
And I bet some people never even knew you can check on that.
Right.
You know?
So like on your post, you could, if it's a business account, not a personal IG, but a business one, you should be able to look at your insights. I can even see how many people who saw my post that are not necessarily following me. So just based on this, I'll know what kind of content people like to see, which ones are the most engaging, and I create more of that. You know, so sometimes you don't even necessarily have to be too creative. Look at what you've already been doing and do more of that.
Yep.
Because consistency matters too.
Absolutely.
That is very true. So I just want to remind everyone, we've got 2 minutes before we have to switch over. At 11 o'clock, we have the first room is going to be all about luxury home sales. The second room is going to be with Grimaldi Law Firm. So make sure if you're interested, please go there. And Bethany and I are going to stay here. We're going to be talking about prospecting. So just keep in mind, if you have not already cleared your cookies, you probably won't see it.
Yes, because now I can actually see the topics.
Yep, I just cleared mine, and that's how I found out what they are. So again, luxury home sales, room number 1, commission killers, room number 2, and then prospecting will stay here. Okay, so we've got 2 more minutes. Anyone else want to share something about?
I'd like to share.
Go ahead. Go for it, Marcelo. We can't see you, but we can hear you.
Good morning, everyone.
Show us your
Hello.
I can't. I'm putting some paperwork. So I'm sorry. So like I have to put the phone down. But a couple of things that I think that it's important is that when it comes to content, everybody's talking about engagement and in the different ways. But I think it's also important that you also know the audience that you're trying to reach, and you can identify that audience by preparing first and foremost a marketing plan and knowing who you're intending to target. Chandra mentioned also a very strong point that sometimes it doesn't matter how many likes you get on your posts, because sometimes it's, in this business, it's also not about quantity is important, but quality is also great, especially if your intention, for instance, is to maybe attract, maybe more high network customers. And if that's your intention, then you should speak with a marketing expert. If you need help designing a branding and marketing plan, and create content that's going to lead to the audience that you want. You know, that was actually one, you know, last year, that was actually a big part of my business. I wanted to attract a different clientele. I met with experts that helped me out with it, and actually ended up doing a lot of rebranding of my business. So I guess the point I want to make, especially if, for instance, you know, just to be transparent, if you, for example, maybe, you know, we're all sharing and we're talking about different ways. I mean, not everyone is gonna necessarily use everything. And I just think that you should pick the one that works the most with what you're intending to do.